Well, howdy, folks. It's Mike. You are in store for a very special episode with Mike Ash. We recorded it a few hours ago. I'm still just impacted by it. It impacted me very deeply. And I just wanted to start off by saying I'm going to change the order of things around. We talked for a couple of hours, and it took about an hour to get into the stuff that I think everyone is going to really be interested in. And so we're going to just switch the order of this recording around, but I would really love for you guys to stick around and then watch the beginning at the end, because to really get to know Mike's full story, it makes the rest of it even more impactful. And I'm just so grateful that he took the time out to share this with us. And what this man has gone through is been, I don't know anyone who's gone through as much as he has. I don't even think I've heard of anyone who's gone through what he has gone through, and with the attitude that he has. And I think we can all learn something from what he shares in this episode and take away. And the mind is such a powerful thing. I will just tell you this. He was at one point quadriplegic. He gets into how that happened, and it got worse from there. And he came out the other side because of his ability to remain positive, never give up, and just truly, it's just a miracle, everything that he's been able to accomplish given all the tragedies that he's had. So with that said, sit back and listen to this one, and I think you'll take a lot from it. If you have anybody that you know that is really dealing with horrible situations in life, whether it's car accidents or other accidents or just trauma, physical, emotional, any type of trauma in life, please share this with them. I think it will end up helping them a lot. And again, I just wanted to give a huge thank you to Mike, because it is really heavy stuff. And I think you guys will get a lot out of it. It's very, very positive, but heavy. So with that said, sit back and enjoy. Thank you. Well, howdy, folks. It's Mike again, and this is very special. I should have looked up a word for special that was super special, but this is going to be super special. And really, I think life-changing for a lot of folks if you take the time and really hear what Mike has to say. Obviously, this is part of the Hangout series, and this is a special one. You probably don't know Mike. This is Mike Ash, and he will introduce himself, and you'll get to know everything about him. But you are in store for a journey upon all journeys. This man here has gone through everything and then some, and he's going to be writing a book about his life, and we're just lucky to have him on here. I don't want to give out everything because I want you to hear it straight from him, but at one point he was a quadriplegic, told he wasn't going to be able to make it through the weekend, and here he is here years later. And so I want to hear all about that. But first, just welcome, Mike. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's so exciting to be on a webcast with Webby, who I've watched all his webcasts. I'm thinking, wow, these are really cool webcasts. And it's like, dude, now all of a sudden I'm on one of them. I'm thinking, how fabulous is that?
Well, it's not a TED Talk, but it's baby steps there, and you need to be
Yeah.
on a TED Talk. I cannot wait for whenever you do your TED Talk. I will fly out, and I promise you I will be there.
That's awesome.
So why don't you tell folks we'll get into what happened to you and all of those things, because there's so many things that happened to you. But why don't you just tell folks a little bit about yourself, because you're not super active online or anything. You're just like most people who probably watch, who are just, you're just doing your own thing. And we've been in contact for forever, it seems like, and we're just cut from the same cloth. And I just wanted everyone to get to hear your story and get to hear about you. So why don't you tell people about you?
That sounds great. I mean, Webby is actually my twin brother from a different mother. I mean, we are so in sync. I mean, we're just like both really, I mean, to be kind and to be grateful and have gratitude. There it is, the big Kai shirt. I should have worn mine. That would have been even a better idea. I forgot about that. and it's so funny. I mean, both kind of people pleasers, which is 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 great, but has kind of the downside where you may do stuff that you don't get a chance to do, or you compromise to help somebody else. But I'm like I said, I'm grateful to be here. I mean, it's my journey's kind of wild. I'm afraid if I don't keep going, I'll miss out on what you were probably wanting to
Yes,
talk
I
about.
know. I know. This is just like so much fun. But the main thing that we're here, we haven't talked about.
Yeah, that's
We
right.
will let
You
let's
gotta
get there.
wave your hands. So this is the part that, like you say on your thing, it's like
Pay
this.
pay attention, and I'll put the little timelines on the bottom so people can jump forward to this. But I think it's more important to know who they're talking,
I
the
absolutely agree.
backstory, to
Absolutely agree.
know you as a person, to understand you go from all of that success, success after success after success, to what we're going to talk about now, which isn't so pleasant, to put
Yeah.
it mildly. So why don't you just walk everyone through that, and then the rest of this stuff, man, if you guys just fast forward to this part, that's fine. This will change your life for the better. Mike, walk through
Yeah.
all of that.
Like I said, I totally enjoyed the conversation getting up to this. I mean, it's amazing because there's so much synergy between you and I on the history and stuff, and it just cracks me up. Like I said, I feel like you're part of the family here. So, yeah, I was I'll give you just a little bit of background when I had moved to Colorado to go because I was traveling internationally, and it was much easier to go ahead from there. You can fly nonstop to Tokyo or Frankfurt or something, and I had a house that went right back into the forest, which was great. A couple weeks before, I was at Telluride, and I was riding the Red Bull course. And it's like, I remember going up the lift. I'm like a guy in 60 riding a hardtail mountain bike. Everybody in the gondola is in their 20s with full armor on and full suspension bikes. And they're saying, dude, it's like, you got a hardtail bike out here. This is not the kind of course for that. And I said, well, I just think it'd be fun to ride the trail. Get it. That should have been the first clue. I'm 40 years older than everybody. Get out, get signed up, and they say, oh, you got to, before you start, you have to sign this waiver. There's a little kiosk there. So you're signing up. It's like two lines. This is severe downhill mountain biking. There's a high likelihood of serious injury or death. We accept no responsibility. Sign here. And so I thought, well, that sounds good. That should have been clue number two. So I signed that. And the guy puts a sticker on that note, that little release that I just signed. And then he put a sticker on the top tube of my bike. And I said, that's wild. Why do you do that? He says, I'll tell you, when people crash here, they can't talk to us. So we need to figure out a way to know who you are. So that should have been the next clue. So I'm going I'm going down this thing, and I thought, wow, this is really fun. And I thought, well, I don't know where these trails go. And so I went on to this course called T-Bone, and it was part of the Red Bull course. And I didn't even know that. So it's getting really pretty gnarly with some jumps and stuff. And then there's like a little kind of a narrow bridge, probably a couple weeks wide, that were a couple feet wide, that was slatted, and it's kind of going through the forest. And I thought, wow, you're just above the forest here, winding through. And then all of a sudden, it was like a Wile E. Coyote thing. It launches over a fire road, and so I'm looking down. There's like nothing there. It's like I felt like the coyote and the roadrunner thing. It's like, and I looked on the other side, and there's a little trail, and it goes into a big berm into the forest again. I thought, I got to hit that thing. And so I remember hitting that. I had a camera on my helmet. It flattened the suspension on my bike and flattened the tires as I went whipping through the corner, shooting onto the rest of the course. And I got down to the bottom, and I get back on, and I thought, God, that was scary. And so I put my bike back on, and I started going up the gondola, and there's another guy there, and he's got a Red Bull shirt on. I said, no, did the Red Bull? He goes, oh yeah, the part of the Red Bull course is here. And I said, he says, what trails have you gone? I said, well, I did T-Bone. He goes, you did T-Bone on a hardtail? And I said, yeah. And he says, dude, if you can ride that, you can ride anywhere up here. He says, I rode that thing, and I missed the turn. I went off the berm. I collapsed my lung, broke my arm, and broke bones in my face. It took me a long time to recover. And you're riding here in just a regular cycling kit and a helmet on a hardtail bike. You don't have any protection. He goes, I'd be kind of careful. So I get off,
Wow.
and we start going down, and there's this kid comes up, and I thought, I've always been following people. And so he comes up and I was waiting to start and he says, "Can I go in front of you?" And I said, "I tell you what, I've never got to be first on one of these. I'd really like to ride first, but I'll tell you what, here's my deal. We'll go through 3 or 4 switchbacks, and if you're on my wheel, I'll pull off and let you go by." And he goes, "Dude, that sounds great." And so we start going, and I 3 or 4 switchbacks, and all of a sudden I hear this screaming, and this bike comes flying down the mountain in front of me, going head over heels, and it's the kid that was following me. And so he goes down a couple switchbacks. I went down and I stopped and talked to him, and finally he could breathe again, knocked the wind out of him and stuff. And I said, "You okay?" He says, "Yeah, I think I can let me get back on my bike." And so he says, "Yeah, I think I'm good." And I said, "What happened?" He goes, "What happened is I wanted to stay on your wheel so I could go around you, and I was riding way over my head, and then I couldn't handle the line, and I just crashed." So it was really funny.
Wow.
It's like, and at his age, I'd have done the same thing. It's like,
Yeah.
God, it's a 60-year-old guy on a hardtail.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have a full suspension mountain bike. He's gonna slow me down. It's probably gonna go 5 miles an hour. So, but anyway, just to give you an idea where that's where I should have gotten killed. So I'm at my house. I'm at work. It's sunset. The sun's going down, and it makes beautiful patterns of the sun behind the Rocky Mountains. I can go right from my house, right into the forest. And so I thought, well, I'll ride through the forest and get out to the clearing and get a picture of the sunset. So I'm riding where I normally ride, getting kind of dusk out, and there were some houses being built around that area. And apparently somebody had come in with one of these giant machines that scoops trees out, takes a
Mm.
big hydraulics, takes a big hunk out of the ground, pulls the tree out. I didn't know that. So what looked like a shadow turned out to be a hole. And so I ride right into this hole. It flips me over, cracks my helmet, and I'm on the ground and I could hardly breathe. And I thought, God, this is so weird. And I thought, it's really weird. My arms are like across my chest and my head was to the side. And I looked over, my arm was out here, and I thought, oh, this is not good. It's like I can't move. And because I did so much head and neck anatomy, I thought, well, I crushed C2, C3, and C4. C4 because I can't breathe. And then I can't move my body at all. And my head's like right on this anthill. So there's ants crawling on me. I'm thinking,
Jesus
this is
Christ.
not good. And so this is in the fall. It's gonna be 90 degrees at night. I'm listening, of course, to classic rock on my headset. I've got my phone in my pocket that I can't reach, and I can't interrupt the music to make a call. That's one of the big flaws on the iPhone, that you can't interrupt because it's playing music. And so I'm laying there thinking, okay, nobody's going to find me. It's going to be 19 degrees tonight. This is how it ends. I thought I had a great life. I've worked all over the world. I've met all kinds of cool people. I was really totally fit as an athlete. I had everything. I had no idea this is where it's going to end, because tomorrow somebody's going to walk their dog and think, wow, there's a guy, he's frozen here. And so I was really at peace with that. I thought I had a great life. This is awesome. I really am so grateful for all that I had, but I really feel bad because thinking back in my life, I think about all the people that I hurt, either intentionally or unintentionally, or people that I kind of just took advantage. There was a girl that I dated in high school who she thought we were probably going to stay together and get married, and I just totally ghosted her. And I thought, wow, that was just so cruel. I can't, because of the way I grew up, I couldn't feel anything because I had blocked all my emotions. It kind of was a safety thing for the way I grew up when I was a kid. And that's how I kind of survived. I couldn't feel love, compassion, or anything. I could pretend that. And so what was happening then is this accident woke up that emotional component. And all of a sudden in my head, it says, here's the people that you have no idea emotionally how much you affected them. Cause I didn't know, because I couldn't feel that. And I was thinking to myself, man, if there's any way I could get out of this, I would go back and fix that. And it's like, my neighbor's dog got out. And so my neighbor's dog comes running up and he's sniffing my helmet. And I'm thinking, man, this dog is going to pee on my helmet and there's nothing I can do about it. And so my neighbor
You can't move at all at this
can't move
point,
at all. And I
and you
can't
got an anthill going on you, and
help going on me, and I can't yell because I could barely breathe because part of my diaphragm was paralyzed. and I couldn't make a call. I had the phone in my pocket, and my house is all instrumented. So it made a little tone when the garage door opened when my wife came home. And on her phone is a URL. Every time I rode, it would say where she could click on that and see where I was, how fast I was riding, how far away I was. But I rode all the time. So she thought, "Well, he's probably got a light on his bike and he's probably out riding on the road somewhere in the forest and he'll be back." So it's like, hear her turn off the alarm and everything. So I thought, this is so crazy. So my fast forward, my neighbor comes over and he said to get his dog, and he goes, "Oh, let me pick you up." I said, "No, don't move me." It's like, call 911 and call my wife, because it's like, if you move me, there's no way I'll recover from this. And so fast forward, I go into the Sky Ridge for emergency surgery, and it was like 6 hours worth of surgery. And I come out of surgery, and the two neurosurgeons were there when I was kind of in recovery, waking up. And the guy says, "Hey, I've got good news and bad news." And I realized, I mean, I can't feel anything. I mean, I can't move at all, and I'm on oxygen and stuff. And I said, "Well, let's start with the good news." And he says, "The good news is my partner wanted to trach you and put you on a ventilator, but I looked at you and I thought, God, this guy's super fit. Let's see if we can teach him to breathe. We can always poke a hole in his neck in recovery and put him on a ventilator." He says, "That's the good news." I said, "What's the bad news?" He says, "Well, the bad news is you're never going to move again." And I said, "That's not," I looked at him, I said, "That's not acceptable." And he says, "Dude, I don't care what you accept. That's a reality." He says, "Now, if you were just a regular patient, I'd say, yeah, maybe there's a chance you're going to be okay. And, if you work hard at it, you'll get better. But since you're another physician, I'm going to tell you straight up as a clinician that we worked really hard to try to save it, but there's just too much damage. We had to use cadaver bone to recreate part of C2 in your spinal column just to keep it from collapsing." And so they had me in a neck brace, and I said, "Well, I can't accept that." And so I remember laying in bed, they would come in, put me in a lift to take me out of bed, and they would have to hold my head because my neck, I couldn't move my neck, so that there's a neck brace, but it's like the muscles in my neck were gone. And so they would hold my head. They would put me in a wheelchair, and they would bring a little straw to my mouth, and I would blow and suck into the straw to make the wheelchair move. So I would drive the wheelchair just like Christopher Reeves with a straw in my mouth. And they would take me to physical therapy, put me in a lift, put me on a mat. And I remember one of the physical therapists, he's moving my arms back and forth. And he could have said to
Wow.
me, "Dude, this is a mannequin arm. I'm just messing with you today." And I wouldn't have known because I couldn't feel anything. So I just kept going back. But what I realized is the mind is powerful medicine. And I said, "Don't let other people set your limitations." It's like, you need to really work through this. You've lost everything that you thought was important, an amazing career and your physical fitness. I was down to like 123 pounds. My legs look like a 9-year-old girl. I went from having monster legs from racing. But I said, "This is the new frame. You have to start where you are now to get back." And so I would close my eyes and through guided imagery, really picture every muscle in my body. So I would say, okay, you moved your biceps, your triceps, infraspinatus, supraspinatus, deltoids, traps. And I remember the neurosurgeon coming in, he goes, "Guys, I just didn't want to, it didn't look like you were asleep. It looked like you were meditating." I said, "No, I'm working out." He says, "Working out? What do you mean?" I said, "I'm moving my fingers and I'm moving my hands." And he goes, "You're paralyzed. Why are you doing that? That's just so quaint." I said, "Because I know if I forget how to do that, it doesn't matter how good the physical therapy is later. If I forgot the movement pattern, they can move my arm, but if I don't know how to talk to my bicep, it's not going to work." And the brain is constantly remodeling. From evolution, it takes a lot of calories. And so it's looking at, hey, well, this part of the brain you're not using, it's like, let's get rid of it. Because I think about a trumpet
Have
player.
you heard that before, or you just
Yeah.
figured
No,
this out?
no, I had read a lot about, because of the medical stuff,
Okay.
understanding a lot of that. So I just put a lot of different components together. There wasn't anything that, like, there was a book saying, "Hey, here's what you need to do if you ever have a traumatic brain injury," which I did, or spinal cord injury. I just thought I just spent a lot of time thinking to myself, okay, here's the spot you're in. Think about everything that you know. What could you possibly do that would help you recover that they're not telling you. And so that's how I came up with that. And that's part of my impetus for writing the book, because part of it's for people to tell them about, don't let other people set your limitations on what you can do if you really focus your mind on it. And part of it's for the clinicians that write you off. I think there's a lot of quadriplegic and a lot of paraplegics out there that were told, dude, you're never going to move again, or your legs are gone, you can't. And they just say, well, doctor's right. I guess this is my new normal. And they don't try. And so I remember a great case where I'm trying to learn how to stand up. It's super, super painful. And they kind of lift me up and I'm like wobbling back and forth and my legs and feet are just screaming in pain. But I really focus on staying calm and not showing any of that pain, because I thought I can't show these physical therapists that I'm in pain, because if they see that, they may not do this for me. And I need to make this happen. And there was another guy, same kind of condition, and he was right next to me. And he's like yelling and screaming and stuff. And he says, I can't do this, and told his physical therapist to go away. My PT went to go get like a gait belt or something. And he says, he looked at me, he says, I'm not doing this. I would give up. I mean, I'm just going to stay. And I said, dude, if you like the way you are right now, it's like, that's where you'll be. I said, it's like, if you don't push ahead, because if you say you won't or you can't, you'll never do it. And he said, well, look at you, man. It's like you're doing what I'm doing, but it's not hurting at all. I said, I'm in like incredible pain, but
Really?
I don't want to have them stop. I don't want to limit what they're doing based on what I'm feeling. And he says, "You're stronger than me, man. I'm not doing this. I'm quitting. I'm quitting the physical therapy stuff." And it's a weekend comes up. Fast forward to Monday, and he comes in his power wheelchair like me. We're driving down there, and so I talked to him. I said, "Wow, I was surprised to see you here." He goes, "I thought about what you said all weekend. I'm going to work at this." And so it was so
Wow.
cool, because there's probably a dozen quadriplegic and paraplegics that I have changed the direction of their lives and helped them understand that they determine what the limit is. They determine where they want to go. And I've gotten people that there's one woman that has ALS, and it's like kind of a terminal thing. And she says, you have a permanent spot in my zip code in my brain, because you've completely taught me how to reframe what I have and to be so grateful for where I am. And so I went from somebody that was kind of an asshole because I was pretty smart and I just made things happen and I had this monster career, and went to realize that being a top cyclist and having all this ability and, being a senior at IBM and traveling the world and talking to people, anything from offshore oil to pharmaceutical research or something. But to realize that's who I thought I was. The capability of what I could do and the physical capability, washboard abs, look like I was like 20 years younger than I was. And it's like somebody came in and said, okay, like Webby would come up to me and say, dude, here's the deal. You got all that stuff. I'm going to take all that away from you. And I'm going to come back 2 months later and you're going to thank me. I would have thought there's no way, because that's who I am. I mean, being super fit and being super smart, I mean, those are the keys. And I realized that that got taken away, and I realized that wasn't what's important. It's the people and the connections that you make that really make things happen. And it's defining your reality, to make sure that every day you wake up, you put your feet on the ground, you're thinking, wow, this is like Disneyland, e-coupon. This really dates me, because this is when books and coupons for Disneyland, the e-coupon was the best.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah, it
always two of
was.
those. So I look at every day I wake up, I think, wow, I get another day. I get
Yeah.
another day to make things happen. So in the hospital for a year, and just weird things in the hospital. 2 months into my hospital stay, I start getting this neck mass, and they're doing MRIs and CTs, and they're doing biopsies. So I've got this tumor that's growing. And so they tell my wife, they say, hey, it's like, we can't figure out what this is. This is really an aggressive soft body tumor of some type. We can't operate on it because it's like it's wrapping around his carotid arteries. It's cutting off his esophagus. So they put me on a feeding tube because I couldn't swallow. And so they said, it's like, if he makes it through the weekend, it's going to be amazing. 2 weeks max. So start planning for a funeral now because
Jesus.
he's never coming out of this. And so there's a whole story about kind of a spiritual awakening for me that my wife did. I mean, and it's really deep. It's probably another we'll do another Webby Rambles on this whole
Sure,
spiritual.
you do you this is the heaviest thing I don't remember ever hearing anything heavier than this, Mike, and I cannot, um, believe the willpower that you had to do, and I can just picturing the pain that you were in as they're doing this stuff, but you're not giving up, and we a buddy of mine always says, "Never give up," and he wears a hat, "Never give up," and we always think, like, "Never give up," but no, we're never tested like what you went through. I I definitely wanna end up hearing that, and you're welcome to come back as many times and then and also talk about the stocks too, but so you're going through and you've got this tumor and you're
Yeah.
and she
So
thinks that you're gonna be
yeah.
passing away in a couple weeks, so how did that play
Well,
out?
this would be another that whole thing, let's just say that my wife, who's very spiritual, and I'm not, I'm like total science guy, like
Uh-huh.
show me the data. This is like, I'm not into the angels and all this metaphorical stuff, but she is. And she said, hey, it's like, I know you don't believe any of this stuff. And it's like, this is, and so I'm thinking to myself, okay, this is for her. Like I knew the data. I mean, it's like I did tumor boards and stuff, and so we'd always tease other docs. We'd always say, "Well, don't buy any. Tell them not to buy any long playing records." It's like because
Wow.
it was like gallows humor because you saw these patients that they're not going to live, and I knew that was me, and so I thought, I'll just humor her. Like if that makes her feel better, you
Well,
talking to
it's a kind thing for you to do in
yeah,
that situation. It's the kindest thing you could do is give her
yeah,
because she's there sticking by you, and
yes,
she's in her own world of hell, like, different than yours, but still completely valid, and it's the least you can do, but
yes,
in your position, no one needs to ask you for anything, so it's just another act of kindness from you that's,
yep.
um and so, yeah, I didn't mean
You
to
really,
interrupt you. Please go on.
yeah, you really hit it, and this is somebody that when this happened and I was a invalid, I said, "There's no way you should get stuck with that." I said, "Let's just split up. We can split all our stuff. You have enough money, you can buy a house, start a new life." It's like, it's no fair to you. You married somebody that's like race nationals in cycling, top athlete, and now you have an invalid, a total quad that you'll have to take care of the rest of your life. You need to go. And she says, "It's for better, for worse. There's no way I'll leave." And I thought,
Wow.
man, it's like like 95% of the people would have said,
You won the wife lotto, dude.
yeah, because of I mean, anybody else would have said, "It's so thank you. That is great. I mean, I wish you the best. I hope things go well for you, but thanks for letting me out of this."
I'll
It's like,
send you a card.
send you a car. Hasta bye bye, man. It's like all you would see is the feet flapping and the door slapping. It's like, but it was really weird. So she did this whole thing. Uh, and it was just, I just sat back and said, okay, she's talking to Archangel Michael and she says, Ascendant Masters. And she says, I really don't want Mike to leave. I really want him to stay. And it's like, I thought it was kind of a beautiful thing she was going through. And what's really weird, within 24 hours, I started to feel better. And within like 48 hours, this tumor is almost gone. And within a couple more days, it is. And I remember the docs coming in, they say, we have no idea what it was. We had no idea. It was so aggressive. We couldn't do anything about it. And we have no idea how it resolved. So for me, it was like, I thought, I'm a muggle. It's like, just because I don't believe, I'm like pure science guy and I'm not into all this stuff like that. And I thought, I can't now I can't doubt this because even though it's not who I am, I'm just not evolved enough to be there. She's really way more evolved spiritually and she has this connection. She's like a recovering Catholic. So she's totally anti-Western religion, probably more Eastern spiritual kind of stuff. But it's so weird to me. I mean, I remember when she would tell me, and this is so crazy. She throws this back at me because of this recovery. she would have these visions and she says, I'm talking to Archangel Michael and stuff. And I said, it's like, I know a lot of pharmacology. We can get you into therapy and there's medications you can take that will help you with that so you don't get those hallucinations. And I'm thinking, oh my God, if she had believed me, I might not be here today.
Yeah.
I could have fixed her and she could have fixed me because it's like, it's not there. So it's really weird. So I get this neck tumor, get better. They have no idea why. So I thought, oh, right, I'm starting to get better. I'm still in the power wheelchair. I'm getting a little bit better. They kind of sling my arm up so I can kind of drive with my hand a little bit. They've got a sling on my arm so because I
Wait,
can't.
wait, what just I'm sorry, this is so compelling. The first time you were able to move anything, can you just
Yeah.
walk me through
Oh
that? Like,
yeah.
you couldn't move anything.
Then
You're steering this thing with your mouth, then what like, that breakthrough must have been,
oh,
like,
it's crazy. It's
unbelievable.
crazy. Yeah, I could move my big toe, and then
Oh,
I would think about moving my hands, and I'm thinking, "Oh, yeah, my hands are lifting up, my fingers are lifting up," and then I would look and nothing's happening. And then all of a sudden one day, it's like I felt like a finger start to move, and I thought, "Wow." It's like I can in my head, it felt like my hands were straight up in the air, but
yeah.
they never were. They were always, like, flat on my side, and I thought, oh, that's cool. I mean, I got one. It's like now I'm figuring it out. So I just kept working on stuff. And then all of a sudden, just kept doing like for half hour to an hour a day, I'd be working out in my head. Nothing's moving. It seems like it is. And close my eyes, feel like my arms are moving out, back and forth. My legs are moving. And I'd look and nothing's happening. And then they started coming back. And so that's how it was just a slow process of getting better. And got to the point where, like I said, I could now drive the power wheelchair with a little joystick. My arm wasn't strong enough to hold it, so they had this sling that would hold my arm. So I get out of the hospital and I think get to come home and I think this is really great. So I had a hospital bed at home and all the stuff around caregivers and everything. Yeah, my luck's still holding. I'm one of the first COVID patients. So it's like I start to get a little bit of a fever, a little bit of cough, and
Wow.
it's like I tell my wife says, "Well, I'm gonna call your doc and we gotta get you." And they just had got COVID tests. That's how early it was. They had no idea how to treat it. And
Wow.
she says, "I want to take you and get you tested." And I said, "I'll be fine. Let's like Thursday. Let's wait till the weekend. You know, they're gonna be busy." And she goes, "No, I'm taking you now." So she took me in the car, took me down there, and they said, "Can you walk?" And I said, "Just got to the point where I could maybe walk like 40 feet or something." I said, "Yeah, if you help me." I'll be able to walk in. And so they said, well, maybe we better get a wheelchair. So they get a wheelchair and they wheel me in there. And within 45 minutes, I was paralyzed again. It's like, I just thought I was going to get a test.
What the
Yeah. The neurologic impact of COVID. Now, my wife said, I'm going to take you in for testing. I thought, no, I feel pretty fine. If she hadn't taken me in, I would not have been there because now I'm in the hospital and they said, we got to run some tests and I couldn't move. I'm like paralyzed again. So they get the Hoyer lift, put me in a wheelchair. They just open up an isolation ward. So what my wife thought was going to be like a 15-minute go in, get a COVID test, come back out. She didn't see me for 40 days
oh
because
my
I went
god.
right from that right into the hospital. And the thing that was weird, this was really early, and I was my oxygen saturation was going down, which is what happened with COVID patients. You don't get enough oxygen in your blood, so they had me on high flow oxygen. That's all they knew about, and they said, "You're not doing well. We're gonna have to intubate you and put you on a
Ugh.
ventilator because your oxygen sats are so low." I said, "I'll tell you what. Can you give me the gift of 24 hours?" I said, I can hardly breathe, but I want to record end of life messages for everybody. So I recorded on my phone, you know, a message to my son, a message to my daughter, message to my first wife, message to my wife, message to friends, colleagues. You know, I had like, you know, gosh, like probably 100 of these voice messages that I talked to them because I thought the chance of my survival is only about 30% if they intubate me. So I need to be prepared that this is it. I mean, I've
Yeah.
I've done jumped out of airplanes and raced motorcycles and done mountaineering and ice climbing. There's all kinds of times I should have died. I got like four, and my notes from my book, I was writing it down. I thought, wow, there's like 14 times you should have died. You didn't die. And I thought, well, this is probably it, and so I recorded all these messages, and I started to get a little bit better. And they said, okay, but today's the day. And I said, I'll tell you what, can you just give me one more day? I'm going to really work on breathing and stuff. And I started to get better. So I missed
Wow.
getting intubated, but I had all these end of life messages just in case. And so 40 days, I get out. And my wife, because she'd done all this stuff, I said, you have done everything for me. What can I do for you? And she goes, I would love to live in Southern California. I'd love to move to Carlsbad. And I said, I'm going to make that happen. And so I start bidding on houses in Carlsbad, keep getting outbid because they're just like, it's this crazy market.
Yeah.
And I finally get a house. I buy the house sight unseen, and then completely got the house and put a brand new house in, super high tech, everything in the house. Like, you can say good night and all the blinds go down and the lights turn on, locks the doors, changes thermostat, does everything. And so I thought, wow, I've got everything. I'm getting better. I'm learning how to walk again. I've learned how to drive again. I thought I'm able to drive myself to physical therapy instead of hiring drivers. And so I'm thinking, wow, I'm just on top of the world. This is great. And during this time, this is where I'm reaching out to people that I really screwed their lives up. And one of them, just I'll to pick the one example, this girlfriend from high school did a lot of work and found her and talked to her and told her what happened. I said, and she goes, oh my gosh, I thought it was me. I thought it was something I did. My whole
Oh,
life I've thought about that. She goes, it's such a relief to know it wasn't. And I said, no, I was a total asshole. It's like, I couldn't feel. So I didn't know what you felt. And when I had this accident and I could feel the heartbreak. I could feel
wow.
the emotion about what I caused, the damage I caused to you. And it was so amazing to me to go through, and there was like a half a dozen people that I found that I had inadvertently hurt just because I just didn't feel. But all of a sudden I could feel, I think, oh my God, that's so traumatic. I could be them for that period of time, and thought, wow, this is awful. I can't believe I did that to another human. So it gave me a chance to recover those people. And so I'm like on the top of the world. I'm going to physical therapy. I'm like, listen to a podcast. I think this is great. I can't believe how lucky I am. I'm stopped making a left-hand turn, and I see in my rearview mirror, there's this big freight truck, like a Amazon truck, and he's going really fast behind me. He's coming up around, but I thought, well, there's room to my right. He's going to go by, and there's cars coming towards me. I'm waiting to make the turn, and I kept watching this truck, and I thought, wow, he's not moving. And I saw this truck grill, and all I could see is a truck grill all of a sudden crushing through the back of my van. And it was like this slow motion thing,
Yeah.
glass shattering everywhere. It hit me so hard that it broke my seat and flattened the seat of my car. So it flattened me out, and there was all the airbags blowing up and stuff. And it was like, just like I just got like hit like a golf ball, and something in my head said, pull up. And so I grabbed the steering wheel and pulled up, and I looked, and I was just about ready to hit head on in oncoming traffic because he'd pushed me into oncoming traffic. And I swerved hard left and hit the curb on the left hand side. At the same time, that car swerved and missed me. So I had missed getting hurt, getting hit. And I remember the driver coming up, and I thought, I got to get out of the van because it might catch on fire, because it was like all smashed in. So I get out of the van, and I'm kind of wobbly, and the driver comes up and he goes, dude, it's like, I can't believe it. I didn't even know I hit you until I heard the crash. So it's like, I just can't believe it. I just can't believe that this has happened. And my van was like 100 yards down the road from where I was turning. He just like, it just
Wow.
hit hard. So fast forward years, again, my wife shows up in the emergency room. I'm back in the hospital in a neck brace. And it's like, wow,
Dude,
how many
this is
times
not cool.
I know. So it was like, so there's like 4 near death experiences from just that event. So it was so crazy. And me being like Webby, kind of being want to be light about things and stuff. She goes, well, God, I can't believe that van hit you. It's like, what was that like? And I said, Oh, you wouldn't believe it, man. It was the best acceleration I've ever gotten out of that Honda. It was hauling ass. I couldn't believe the off the line speed was amazing. Now, see, that joke totally kills. Not so much for the spouse.
Yeah, that's
She says,
yeah,
I can't wait for you to get better so I can kill you.
yeah.
It's like,
But that sense of humor, Mike, is what kept you around. Like, I
yeah,
cannot believe how 99.9999999% of folks would have given up on any one of those circumstances that you had. I mean, from the first accident and then, all the way through and the neck thing and then this and then the COVID. Like, dude, you're the strongest dude out there, man. You're like Arnold Schwarzenegger back in, 50 years ago, man. That is I cannot tell you how impressed I am with your mental ability and just thinking through of the pain that you were in your physical therapy, and I know you're still doing physical
yeah,
therapy, and the pain that going through regularly. What would you tell the people who are in those, because there's so many people, maybe not as bad as the situation you were in, but in things are all relative, right?
right.
Like they might not be as bad as any one of your things that you had 4 of, but what would you tell them to, because it was all up here is
Yeah,
why you're still here, because you would have
yeah.
been dead 4 times,
Oh,
man.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think that the thing is for people, I always say like the mind is powerful medicine is one thing. And the other thing, and I think whether it's a physical thing or it's a divorce or a loss, anything, any trauma in your life, and your life is full of traumas, is just to think about how can I reframe that? What can I what can I do? And what can I do to not let other people hold me down? Like having somebody say, you can't do this because of this, or you're never going to recover from this. And just realize that you're the one that accepts that or doesn't. You can
Yeah,
say, I don't accept that, just like I did when they said, you'll never move again. That's not acceptable. You just have to think about where it is. But I think the biggest thing for me is like each one of these set me back. So like when I got COVID, I was a quad. I had to learn how to walk again and get in the accident. Any one of those things start me over. And it's like I think it's like I'm climbing Mount Everest, somebody grabs me and they throw me off the mountain and
yeah,
I go tumbling down the mountain. And then I'm climbing back the same hard road, hard climb to get back to where I was. And what I had to realize, and I think it helped me and it helps a lot of people that I talk to, as far as getting over trauma, whether, emotional or physical trauma, is don't look at where you were. Because I remember when I was paralyzed in the hospital bed after that surgery, waking up thinking, wow, I lost my career, I lost my cycling, I lost everything. And I thought to myself, okay, you can't compare. That was that was a state, and
mhm,
now you're here, you're a quadriplegic. That's the new state. So now you have to think about, okay, what where do you go from here? Don't say, well, gosh, I'm not Mike Ash traveling the world, or I'm not Mike Ash racing at nationals. It's like, that's a different thing. You have to think about, okay, here's your new baseline, what you do. And so each one of these setbacks, the tumor, the COVID, the van crash, set me back. And I had to always think, okay, don't compare where you were. I mean, yeah, somebody grabbed you off of Everest and you had climbed a long ways and they threw you back down the mountain. It's like, that's your new start. Don't look where you were. Look about the progress you're making today. And I think the thing that really helped me is I have a note on my phone called progress notes. And every time I can do something this week that I couldn't do the week before, like drink out of a glass of water or something, whatever it is,
yeah,
put that in there. And anytime I'm thinking, it's like I look where I used to be and I'll think, okay, wait a minute, pull that out and look like a month ago, look 6 months ago, look a year ago. And you're thinking, wow, I couldn't move my legs then. Well, I couldn't walk then. And just like go through and you think, that's how you get the gratitude and that's how you reset. So I think it's really important, whatever anybody's going through, no matter how far down you get, you have to say, okay, don't compare to where I was, compare to where you are That's the new start line. Okay, you're going to work hard from this baseline, and now you're going to start moving from there. So that's really helped a lot of people in reframing. I think the reframing of where you are is so important to be able to look at the steps you're making from that point on.
That is so powerful. I love the note idea. I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna share with anyone who will listen because I could personally use that, and I know
Everybody could. Yeah.
everyone can. Like,
Yeah.
no matter you could be high, low, everything in between, and you could use it. You could certainly use it.
Yeah. You can finally play Stairway to Heaven the whole way through. It's like, wow, I could do that before.
There you go. That'll be it's yes, that is gonna be so in the reframing, I think is the most powerful thing that you've done, Mike, and in I will never forget this conversation, like, because it's really changing because you hear all these things and, you the things like never give up and think positive, all this stuff, but seeing it and I thought I had it. I It's kind of like
Yep.
back in 2000, the 2002-ish time frame, I remember during that bear market, licking my wounds and stuff and talking to Bill about it, which the first time and only time. And he's like, "Now listen, you could have been a baby born in Iraq and blah blah
Yeah.
blah." And and then he said, "I just saw a lady pushing a shopping cart down Lincoln Boulevard. Don't you dare feel sorry for yourself." And that was the last time I did in front of him.
Yeah.
Not personally, but and
Yeah.
then it's always relative. There's always someone worse off, but whoever's listening, it's like whatever they're going through, that is what they know. Like what you went through is a total next level. Like that's a perfect way of explaining it. Go up to Everest and get thrown off and then go up again and off again, up again, and one
Yeah.
more time after that. Like
Yeah.
it's freaking crazy, Mike. And to have this attitude it's just you I think you were put here on this earth to help other people,
Yeah. Well, I
and
believe that. I believe that.
why don't you tell folks? Because I know that you've helped people in military folks and
Right.
things, and why don't you talk about that? Because that's anyone who's been in your shoes does need to go out and help other people, so
Yes. That's the gratitude piece, and that's the giving back piece from all the work I did. I remember talking to a group of paralyzed veterans, and there was one guy, special forces guy, and he was crying, and I said, "Yeah, does anybody have any questions?" And he raised his hand, and he says, "It took me like 3 minutes to compose myself because I was like crying through this whole thing, and I'm getting kind of emotional thinking about it." He says, "What I want to ask you is if you could go back in time and not have this accident and have the career and have the physical fitness, and you had a choice and you could do that, would you?" And I said, "Wow, that's so profound. I never really thought about it." But the answer would be no, I wouldn't. I would give all that up because all the things I thought were important, my career, my status, my income, my physical fitness, I realized those were all external things to me that were driving, making me feel like I was successful, where the core of my person and the core of who I am and the core of the gratitude that I feel now is the important part. And for me, the big thing was I went through 60 years of my life not feeling anything. I couldn't feel love. I couldn't feel compassion. In fact, there were times where I had things where, like, in doing some surgery or something, and just like somebody saying, "Dude, it's like you're like completely non emotional. Don't you attached to this?" And, like somebody's partner's crying or something. I said, "No, I don't feel anything." This accident woke that up. And so now I can feel. And so now is where when I wake up in the morning, I think I have so much gratitude that I'm here and I feel so lucky to be here, and I think that that question was so profound for me because I'd never really thought about it. I mean, the gift I got to be able to feel and complete me as a human to have that was so powerful, and it made me a nervous wreck. I mean, I used to complain about people crying in a movie. I cry at commercials. I'm like a 13-year-old girl. I
Oh,
mean,
I never cry, Mike.
yeah,
Oh, wait,
never.
you've watched these, so you know I want I've been so proud of myself. I've got my tissue box here, and I'm like, Mike, don't just like because I've been wanting to cry since like for the last hour, man, and I'm just trying to keep it to get. Well, I'm crying, but like
Yeah.
like I'm talking, dude. I can't, it's it's so humbling. It's so impressive. Just talking to you, hearing your story. Like I knew it, but I didn't know it like
Yeah.
this. And I remember early on, when we first started communicating over X, that I've been telling you you need to do a TED talk and do a book.
Yeah.
Now you have to, and I would love to write a forward in there or do anything I
Oh,
can
you're
to
signed up
to
for that. You're the
yeah. So
goat. You're the goat.
I anything I can do to help you out with that because this message needs to get out to folks because I can just picture people, whether they're my sister used to ride horses, and there's something after the Christopher Reeves thing. It always worried me about that, and I'm a worry wart. Like my kids would tell
Hey,
you, "Dad, just why do you worry about everything?" And hearing you with this stuff is that's why I worry because things like that happen. But then you can't control it. Like you could get a fifth thing, or I could get
yeah.
like but you're gonna be able to handle anything that's thrown at you because it's you're proven, like,
Oh,
you're as
absolutely.
strong as is an ox. But other people, the first time they're going through it, and that's why you need to write your book because the and it'd be a perfect gift for someone who's going through a tragedy to be able to read it and go, "Okay, here's this guy he couldn't move and now he's here talking and then he had all those other things happen to him and it's so impressive um and I know we've been going on for a long time and everything but it just is this is so compelling to me. Is there any and I would love to have you back because I want you to
Yeah.
get to talk about your stocks because you're heavy
Oh,
in the
that's
options and all of that stuff and I'd like to get into your take on that and to be able to help because it's always good to everyone knows I've got my way of doing it and everyone's got their own way. And the more ways that you hear of trading, then you can find your own way, and my way is just a combination of a bunch of different, things and then original observations. And so hearing that aspect of it I think will help a lot of people, but that nothing will be more powerful than this. There's one last thing I want to do at the end, which is just kind of fun and music related. But while we're in to the heaviness, is
yeah.
there anything else that you want to tell people? And I do think that there's something a lot, and I don't want to get into the whole because I know it polarizes people, but I totally get where your wife was with the spiritual things in helping you that way because I do believe in good vibes. I'm always, sending good
Oh,
vibes to
yeah.
people.
Absolutely.
I have an overactive empathy, kind of like what you were saying when you were in surgery and you're not connecting with people. I have no choice but to it's just I was just given too much of that. I wish I didn't have as much because it's not fun, but it is what it is. But it's so I'm always giving good vibes and people can call it prayer or they can call it whatever that makes them feel comfortable. But I think that there's power there and there's also power in that mental thing in helping people. So is there something else that you would want to add? And I had one other question on the visualization, but I wanted to just want to give you an opportunity.
Yeah, I'm just really happy to have this opportunity to be on this podcast to reach some people because I help people one at a time. Or I do in groups like with veterans that are wounded and stuff to help them reframe where they are and give them a lot of the tools that I use to figure out how do you not get in a funk and get, like have a pity party and be stuck? How do you get unstuck? And so I work on getting people unstuck and motivate them and help them see the art of the possible. And that's what's cool about this is because this is going to hit hundreds of people or thousands of people that they can they can feel that message and say, wow, there is a way to get unstuck and there's a way to reframe that and there's a way to think about where I am and where I'm going based on what my new start point is and be appreciative to everything you have. And that's why it's so cool talking to you now because like I said, the twin brothers from different mothers, man, I have the same powerful, strong empathy connection. It's like whether it's talking to somebody in the elevator at the VA the other day. There was a nurse in there, and he was like, really looked like he was really tired. I said, "Man, you look like you could use a beer and a nap." He goes, "Man, I'll tell you, it's just really great that you could see that and reach out." Or there was a to
Sometimes that's all it takes,
yeah,
Mike. It's just someone recognizing, "Hey, you look like you're having a hard day," and then it brightens their day.
yeah, because they're seen. When I
Yeah,
were talking to there was a like a homeless guy, and I spent some time talking to him, and he says, "It's amazing." He says, "Dozens of people come by here and I'm invisible." And he says, "You made me feel like I was here." And
wow.
it was real. I mean, just profound stuff like that. And the thing that you have found, and I have found that the energy and positive feeling, the vibe that you put out comes back like a
Yep.
hundred times more
Yeah.
powerful. It's incredible. And to all walks of life, from you saving a spider to take it outside. It's like, there's just the continuous kindness, and people pick that up, and it's like you think people think, "Oh, well, I don't know, I do that." It's like, that's kinda hard to do because it's like, I'm busy, it's like, I don't wanna push that out, it's like but you'd be surprised, it's amplified. I mean, the positive energy and connection, it's like, wow, it's like comes back and you think, "Wow, I just got totally recharged by that event that I started with somebody who didn't felt seen, and now they're seen." Yeah, so that was kinda my parting message is just be grateful every day you wake up. Be grateful for what you have. Be grateful for people around you. And don't be afraid to reach out to people that you don't know and really build that connection. I mean, my wife's always saying, God, it's like you just talk to, I mean, don't talk to the
Your
T.
wife is an angel, by the way. I've
Yeah.
never
Oh, well,
met her, but she's a
yeah.
freaking angel. She is
She
an angel.
yeah, much of that's the reason she's connected. I'm not, but she goes, don't talk to the TSA agents, don't talk to these people. It's like I mean, I feel like you just connect with everybody, and it's amazing. There's no strangers in my life. I mean, and they're just like instant friends, and it's wonderful. I just have a whole world. I mean, I look at my contacts, and it's like, wow, I got 4,200 contacts. Like, it's just weird. It's like
Yeah.
you don't think about it, but yeah, it's like you can what that's like. You push that positive energy out because you have a lot of it, and it just like wow, it just like amplifies what comes back, and it enriches your life and enriches your world.
Well, I totally agree with that, Mike. And, I think you can really look at life. You've been given a raw deal. And so it's like a real raw deal. And so I feel terrible even like thinking like I've had raw deals in life after hearing your thing. But in general, like everyone deals with negative things,
Right.
just varying degrees. Yours is
Yeah.
yours is a 99 out of a 1 to 99, you're a
Yeah.
99.
Yeah.
Well, no, you would be the one time if we put you in the database, we would make 100, even though we don't even have that as a figure. Yeah. Um, so as far as everything you've gone through, and you can either take that and go, okay, well, I've had crap given to me, and so I'm going to give crap to everyone who comes through
I've
in
seen
front of me. And you
yeah.
see people who do that, or you can say, okay, well, that's not cool. Like, how is that going to help anything? And now they're just going to have more of that, and it's going to be this circle. And
Yeah.
so that's what this whole thing is about: being kind and spreading kindness. And you mentioned the thing about Dave and his spider last night. We had a hornet for the
Yeah.
first time in our house, and I was trying to get it out of the house without killing it, and I couldn't. I even brought the leaf blower in, and because it was in the
Yeah.
area where there's high ceilings, and it couldn't even get to it. And so I'm like, I'm gonna just leave it alone, let it do its thing. It'll find its way out somehow. We left the door open for a long time and didn't want to go out, so we just closed the bedroom door, and we're like, okay, it can't get through here, and so you just leave things alone. And that's a little freaking insect, and you do
Yeah.
that with people too, and you do it with large groups, and it does come back to you, or it comes back to people around you. I believe that,
Oh, absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
know. And so where would people find you on X? Because I don't have your X up right now. I shut it down.
Shoot, I'm gonna have to probably edit that in. Let me look and see. I don't
I
even know.
could look at let me hold on. So it's Mike Ash 007.
Yeah, there you go.
So one question I had before we got into the fun stuff, because
Sure.
we need to end on a positive note
I
or
was
a
this was
fun
gonna
note. This was all positive, but with the visualization that you were doing, I
Yeah,
think it's so powerful because I remember back when I was swimming, what we do in my distance was the 500 and then the mile. And they taught us to sit and think through the whole race, like you're walking up to the thing, you go through the whole thing. Okay, now this is your dive in all the way through to the very end, and you're visualizing it and how powerful that is. And it seemed like when you were there and you were paralyzed and you were doing something similar
exactly.
with your body, you're like, "Okay, now I've gotta work on my toes, and then I've gotta work on my calf." Was that just something that you'd figured out? Like, because that seems so genius and so important for other people who are paralyzed to still keep that connective, um, all those things together. So if your arms do end up working, that, again, that all the connections are there. So anything else you want to elaborate on that?
I don't even know how I came up with that. It's probably a combination of my background in medicine and engineering and just having a lot of time to think about, okay, here's where you are. Think about everything possible that you could do to get better. And so that's one of the things I thought about. And I constantly thought about your brain remodeling. And I thought, wow, it's like if there's a whole movement pattern thing that not getting it's never getting addressed. I'm never thinking about it. It could go away, and then I may not ever get it back because I won't be able to find what that is. And so I thought it's so important to just go through every part of your body and try to visualize what it's like to make that happen. So that was that. I thought it's my only hope because I thought if I miraculously recover, but my brain doesn't know how to make a movement happen, it won't matter that everything's hooked up because I won't be able to know in my mind how to do it. It took me 2 months to learn how to roll over. I mean, I had to start
Wow.
just like I was an infant. Yeah. I mean, every movement it took years to get. I just kept fighting the pain and fighting the determination to every step and then looking at the progress report. Wow, I was able to roll over today. It's like 2 months to do that, and I just that was the thing. It's like I get frustrated and go back and it's like, dude, you're on your back, you can move all of it. You can move your body and squirm around, but you couldn't figure out what's the pattern to roll over. So it was just like I said, starting from scratch. And the really weird thing for me, this is just this. It's like the movement pattern thing is so weird because like walking for me, I had to think about okay, every piece of the movement. Okay, I'm firing my quad, I'm firing my hip flexor. I would think about the biomechanics of how that worked. And I would think about walking. And then it started to feel I was really not walking. I was kind of just barely shuffling with a walker but it's like I thought to myself, "Oh, I think I have this." And as soon as I thought, like in my brain, it says, "Oh, you're walking now," I'd fall because
Wow.
that movement pattern for walking wasn't connected anymore. So it's like my brain would say, "Oh, okay, you want to walk?" It's like you fire these like 45 neurons in this order, and they would go down my spinal column and they would get stuck because that was severed off. And so I had to really relearn things because the things I had in my head on how to do things weren't connected anymore. So it's like you're walking along, and you think, "Wow, I think, oh yeah, I know how to walk." And it's like, boom! It's like you don't. It's like because your brain's not; those aren't hooked up anymore. This is a brand new thing you're having to learn how to walk. So just a weird.
How how is it now for you? Like, what is life? I know you're doing physical therapy and everything. Like, how are things going for you, Mike?
Good, good, good. My goal is to run the Carlsbad 5K at some point, so you better start training.
Well, my better half and we've been joking around now that my daughter did that
I
marathon.
thought that was amazing.
Yeah, yeah, and she couldn't even run a mile
I
last
know.
June, and now she's gonna do another one September or October. But yeah, if you do the 5K Carlsbad, I will do my very, very best to try to come out and do that with you.
There's hundreds of people that'll be there.
Okay. Yeah, just let me know when that is and all. And Carlsbad's a beautiful place. My parents got a timeshare there when the kids were little, right next to
Right.
Legoland, so we could go down there, and that's a lot of special memories in a beautiful place. So you ended up in a very good town. I've got to say that you might have put this in a comment to me, and that might be where it's stuck. But it's like every day is a gift, and you're
Yeah.
like the poster child for that. Like that should be like your book title or something, like, because you're living that. Like you're not wasting time, and I'm so impressed, and you've really motivated me quite a bit because I won't get into it, but I'm dealing with my stuff, and this is one of the reasons why I'm trying to do this podcast as a way of taking focusing and doing something positive rather than ways I would have used to deal with it wouldn't have been so positive. And so this is a better use of my time than making a damn good old fashioned, which I knew how to make as strong
Oh
as one
yeah.
you could have, but um
I've got all the bourbon down here when you come down, man. I've
oh,
got
I don't drink anymore, Mike,
like a
but I
kilo,
could
so I may have to pull you off the straight and narrow there for
never
one.
again in my life, but I will hang out and drink a water with lemon. I only drink black coffee and water with lemon.
Well, I've got a just a monster commercial espresso machine, so we'll do some serious coffee though.
There you go.
I mean, I'll go back clear to just like a 45-second blurb to when I'm in fourth grade, and
Sure.
my I get I'm a D and an F student, barely passing. They're going to fail me, and my parents are so embarrassed that their kid's going to get failed, and so they pushed to have me go through. But they did a test and found out I was a learning handicap student, and they said that I probably didn't have the aptitude to complete high school. And I
Wow.
remember my dad saying, "It's
And
like
what grade was this?
fourth grade."
4th grade, okay.
Yeah, and it's so weird because it was so frustrating for me because when your parents, you think they're your biggest supporters, and so you think, wow, they're really sticking up for me. They're going to help me go to fifth grade. I'm really struggling, and then to go home and have your dad say, "It's like, man, you're such a retard. I can't believe it." It's like you are not going to be anything but a ditch digger. That's your life, and I mean, it's like a shot through the heart, and it's like decades later, and it's still just a painful memory. And it's so weird. I went from struggling in fifth grade, sixth grade, it like the light bulb turned on. I figured out what school was about. All of a sudden, a straight A student go through
What
that.
do you think
Yeah.
what do you think well, first of
Yeah.
all, no parent out there should ever say anything but positive things towards their kids,
Oh,
especially at that
absolutely.
age. God for that is just horrible. I don't wanna speak ill will of your parents, but dude, that is just not cool. But what I wanna know is, like, when it switched in 6th grade, was there something, like, in particular? Was it a teacher, or was just you looked at things differently, or what happened?
What it was through the first, through elementary school, I really didn't understand even why I was in school. Was
Hmm.
really frustrated, dyslexic. It was really hard for me to, spell. I was super nervous. Like they'll learning how to read, and like in third and fourth grade, they'll say, "Okay, everybody's going to read a line in this book." And it's like I'd look down the line and I'm thinking, "Oh my God!" It's like I feel like I'm going to have a heart attack by the time it comes to me. And I
Yeah.
would try to figure out some way to wiggle out of it. And it's like the Webby thing. It's like, "Oh, I think I have to go to the restroom." And it's like, but I get called out, and it's like I couldn't talk. I mean, it would get to me, and the teacher felt sorry for me. It's like, well, you'll never make it through this sentence if you can't say anything at all, and it would go to the next person. So it was really, I mean, just it was so traumatic, that kind of thing. But what happened in sixth grade was new school, and I don't know what it was, but all of a sudden I thought, hey, I think I understand what this whole school thing's about. It's like
Hmm.
I'm supposed to learn to be able to really excel in life. And all of a sudden, it's like that switch turned on, and all of a sudden, school was cool. And it's like I went,
Wow. And so it was a different campus, or
yeah,
was it a
different
6th, 7th, 8th? Uh,
now it's different camp, totally different school. Went
okay.
from elementary school, and it was like a fresh start, new kids. It was a brand new school that just got built, and it was really weird for me because
So you
all
weren't labeled the dumb kid, you were
yeah,
just like everybody else, and then you got
yeah,
a friend. Well, I think that's a learning lesson for parents. If you have a kid who's struggling or something, sometimes switching schools, like I we with my father being in the Marine Corps, we I was in a different school every year until 6th grade. It didn't bother me at all, like, yeah, it was just like, "Oh, you started new year at a different school." It was like 7th grade, it was in the same place. I was like, "Wow, this is a little weird going to the same school 2 years in a row," but had you through 5th grade, had you been in the same school the whole time?
No, I did the Webby experiment. I
Okay.
mean, my mom was an elementary school teacher, and I think my parents coming out of World War II was like you had to have 2 kids and you had to have the white picket fence. So they couldn't have kids, so they adopted kids. I got adopted when I was a couple weeks old, just like my sister did a year later. And it was just because of being an elementary school teacher, whenever she changed schools, she would put me in the school that she was in. And
Oh, okay,
so
that makes sense.
yeah, because she would drive to school, and so she would drive me to school. So it was so funny when you said that. I thought, well, I had the same Webby thing where it's like every time, but for you, it seemed to work out. For me, it's like it was even more intimidating because it's like I was super introverted. And it's like now I'm just starting to get to know 1 or 2 people, and then they get ripped away and I have to start over again. So it was like that whole detachment thing. So I had parents that were detached, and then I had friends that just I couldn't keep. And so I think maybe the move to 6th grade, I knew that I'm going to be 6th, 7th, and 8th. I'm going to be in the same school.
Yeah.
There's new kids from multiple elementary schools here. Nobody knows I'm a retard. And because it was really frustrating getting called that from your peers because
Dude.
there's like this is pre-HIPAA and pre everything else. Teachers would say, "Well, Mike's really slow." It's like, and then all the kids are like, "This dude's a total
Wow.
retard." Yeah, and
Wow.
so
I just don't imagine, like, God, there's no words for how
yeah,
bad that is. Like, if you go into the teaching profession, which both my parents were teachers,
yeah.
my sister's a teacher, my daughter's a teacher, like, I guess I'm a teacher, like, you don't do that. Like, that's like the number one thing you don't do. Like, you encourage, you don't discourage, and you certainly don't do what they did. So now you're in 6th grade and all of a sudden things start clicking. How fast did you go from 0 to 100 as far as, brain-wise?
1 year. I mean, I went
Wow.
from being a DF student, I was a straight A student from then on out, got into high school, and by the 2nd year of high school, I was in Mensa.
Wow.
And so everything was going well. I was taking all the advanced classes. And by the time I was a senior in high school, I was already just about a sophomore in college. I was taking classes at USC and computer programming. I was taking classes in our local junior college. I was taking all the AP classes, and I ran into the teacher that tested me when I was in 4th grade. Who,
Oh, that I was gonna ask you if you
yeah,
ever talked to them, what happened?
yeah, yeah, and it's so funny. I recognized her and I said, "Mrs. Fields," and she kinda does a double take and she goes, "God, you look so familiar." And I said, "Yeah, this is Mike Ash." And she goes, "Oh, yeah, you're in my 4th grade class. I'm
Huh?
so proud of you that you're in high school. I can't believe that you made it to high school based on how you tested." I said, "It's really, really hard for me, Mrs. Fields. I'm really struggling. It's like I'm hoping if I keep working hard, maybe I'll be able to graduate high school, but it's probably gonna take me an extra year or 2, but I'm really working hard at it." And when I was talking to her, I was already college bound. I was
Wow.
I was already nearly a sophomore in college because I took so many courses in college while I was in high school. So it was because part of me thought I'm just
Yeah.
gonna just blow her away like, well,
Yeah.
I'm in my 2nd year at USC while
Yeah.
I'm in high school, but I thought, "No, I'm just gonna play it." It's like, no.
Yeah. It's interesting. That like, there was a couple paths you could have
Yeah.
gone down, and that was an interesting path to go. Wow. Do you think she ever found out? Or did
I don't know if she ever did, but it was really funny that at the time I was working part-time in a machine shop building engines.
Oh,
So
wow.
I did, that was how I made money. And then, going into college, computer science, electronic engineering, I started mathematics, pure and applied, because I had challenged out of a lot of the mathematics and I started as a junior and I was so psyched. I loved mathematics, the language of science. And I get this teacher who was really upset that I'm in his upper level, only for math major course. It's for third year students. And so here's Mike Ash, who looks like he's should be in like still in high school. And he's got all
Oh, you're
these.
like Doogie Howser for all
Yeah.
the old
Yeah.
folks.
Oh
That's
yeah. Oh, it was
essentially.
really, I remember when I first took my first computer programming class when I was in probably 7th or 8th grade, and I went to the class. It was at night school, and I signed up, so it was adults were there, and I walked in, and the teacher looked at me, and he goes, "I'm really sorry that, the childcare is down by admissions office. It's like, you must be in the wrong building." And I said, "No, I'm actually in your class. My name's Mike Ash." And he looks on his thing, he goes, "Yeah, well, yeah, you are. And you're welcome to stay, but I don't think this is a class for you." And so fast forward a couple weeks, we get a computer assignment in Fortran programming. And so it was to solve quadratic equations. And at that time, I didn't even know what a quadratic equation was. Or I got a hold of my cousin who was a math major. And I said, "Can you explain what quadratic equations are? Because I have to write a program to solve them." And so she explained what they were. And so I worked really hard and got the program done. And so the next week, he says, "Okay, everybody turn in your homework assignment." And nobody got up. And I thought, well, maybe they're going to collect them. And he says, "Well, I guess nobody has it." And so I thought, well, I guess I'll turn mine in. And so I got up and put my thing on the desk. And he goes, "Oh, that can't be right. It's like nobody," he says, "I threw out this problem that's really difficult. So people will understand after my class of taking the whole course, they'll know how to write the program to solve quadratics. But nobody gets that at the start. I just threw that out there to show you guys how hard it was." So he goes, this is bullshit.
Wow.
This is total bullshit." And so he's looking at the program and he goes, "Holy crap, this is right. You solved quadratic equations. You wrote a Fortran program to do that." He says, "Nobody in my class ever does that because I throw that out there just as a, like, bust your balls going out the gate so you'll stay engaged in my class." And from then on, all these adults who looked at me like, "What's this little kid doing here?" They're like, next week in the computer lab, "Can you help me understand how this? I don't understand how this formatting stuff works in Fortran. Can you help?" So all of a sudden, I'm getting help. So that
Wow,
was.
that does that kinda remind you of, what was that movie with Matt Damon? His first big one, and, like, do you like those apples that where he's at Harvard
Oh
trying to
yeah,
figure out what was that? Robin Williams, it was, like, one of the best movies of all time, and I'm drawing a blank. Good Will
yes,
Hunting.
yes, yes,
And then
yes.
there's that thing on the chalkboard that no one can figure out, but he figures it out, and that sounds like very similar, or in the same world as that. Wow, what so now you're in college, and that was
Yeah.
at USC, right?
No, I went to Cal Poly Pomona because my parents. I actually applied. This is in the days where you mailed out for the book about the school, and
Mhm.
so I actually got accepted at Caltech and MIT. And I was so
Wow.
psyched. And my parents said, "You can only go to a school you can drive to
That's
because
fair.
we
That's
can't
fair.
afford to send you to another school." And so Cal Poly was close to where I lived. And
And
so
that's a
that's.
beautiful campus. I mean, we
Oh,
used
yeah.
to live in I grew up in Chino, which is not
Oh, okay.
yeah, we used to go to Cal Poly Pomona all the time, so it's a beautiful I mean, it's not obviously, it's not Caltech, but it's
Yeah.
a beautiful campus, and don't they have a lot of horses and things there?
Oh, yeah. And they have courses in wine tasting and tractor driving. And we always tease people, you should sign up for wine tasting and then go back to back with tractor driving because it'd be so cool. You could be totally buzzed and then you could go to your tractor driving class and drive the tractors. So it's like, but yeah,
Not the smartest thing. Okay, so you're through, you're there at college, and
yeah,
then what next in life end up where did you go? Because I know you one point you end up in the Air Force, but
yeah.
how did you end up there?
The progression on that was I was so excited about mathematics and I ended up in this guy's class, like I told you, as a junior. He was pissed I was there. So he would start doing a theorem on the board and he would stop halfway through and he says, "Well, I'm sure Mike asked No, he said, "I'm sure Mr. Ash can finish this for me." And so I would go up to the board and I was like petrified because I was so nervous. I'm a total underclassman. And so I would finish the theorem and stuff. I talked to my career counselor. I said, I can't do this. I can't do mathematics. It's like, it was awful. Instead of him saying, God, I got this prodigy in my class.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm going to work with him after school. This is unbelievable. He just like shut me down. And so I switched to computer science, electronic engineering because my career counselor said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, how about electronic engineering? He goes, don't go into engineering. There's no future in that. There's no future in engineering.
No future in
Yeah,
engineering.
no future in computer
Oh my god.
science. That there's not, that's just you never get a job. All the aerospace engineers are getting laid off. And I said, well, dude, I was like mathematics pure and applied. It's like I was already in a kind of a thing. I'm not going to get a job, but at least in the engineering thing, I might be able to get a job. And what really
Yeah.
happened, because nobody was going into engineering, I got a really cool job at Honeywell Corporation.
Oh, wow.
They hired me as a junior, paid me as a paid me as a regular engineer because there weren't any engineering students. And so they were hiring people in engineering schools to say, hey, we'll hire you, we'll pay you, and let you see how cool it is to work as an engineer. And I got to work on amazing things like radar topology and head radar, head up display training systems for F-15 and F-16. It was super cool. And
That's
then,
crazy at that age to be able to have that type of
yeah,
experience, man.
yeah, because of the mathematics. And it's like, then Honeywell hired me away from that. General Dynamics hired me away from Honeywell. It was like this bidding war when I was a senior. And my plan was to go to dental school. And
Oh,
it's
okay.
so I thought there's 2,000 applicants for 100 slots. I'm never going to get in. I better not be a biology or zoology major because if I don't get in, then I'll be a TA or something. And so I did that, and I think the reason I got in, I applied a year early to the 5 schools in California, and they said, "Apply to those 5 schools, you're gonna get rejected, and then the next year you can apply again, and they'll say, wow, this guy's really dedicated. We kicked him out the first time," and I got accepted to all 5 schools. And I
Oh,
think
wow.
yeah, I know. USC, UCLA, San Francisco, UOP, and I think the reason that happened is they looked at my application and thought, who is this guy? He's
Yeah.
working as an engineer. He's got as a degree in computer science, electronic engineering, and he's done all this mathematics. What?
And now he's gonna be a dentist.
Now he's gonna be a dentist,
That
you
doesn't
know?
like it's a different path, man.
Yeah. But it's my parents who it's not what I wanted to do. It's like my parents said, okay, you need a job that you're your own boss, you make good money, and you get to be a doctor and you can work wherever you want. So you should go be a dentist. And so I thought I really wanted to be an orthodontist because I had terribly bad teeth. My whole face was just messed up. I looked like Roger Rabbit. And this orthodontist fixed my occlusion and it changed my life. And I thought, I want to
Wow.
change people's lives like that. I want to help
That's
people.
why. Okay, I knew that
Yeah.
there had to been 'cause there was a little disconnect with because I knew that you went that route, and I was like, "That just doesn't make sense." Now
Yes.
it totally makes sense. Now it totally makes sense. Yeah. Oh, I totally get that. Wow, that is what a powerful thing to do, and so and then did you do the ROTC thing? Is that how you ended up in
Here's the crazy thing. It's like I went in dental school, I was super shy. And there was a girl I met there who she was like a best friend. And she would tell me like who she's dating and stuff. And so I would set her up with all these really cool guys from the med school, from the dental school. I mean, people that were just totally awesome. And they would go out with her a few times and then didn't stop going out with her. And they said, I don't know, she's really smart and she's really cute, but I can't really connect with her. And it's so funny. She's like my best friend. And all of a
Huh.
sudden I thought, wow, I'd really like to date her, but I don't want to spoil a friendship because if I do and that blows up, then I'll lose my friend. And so it fast forward, we ended up going together and getting married. And
Oh,
her,
wow.
her story was that uh, everybody I was setting up with her didn't work out. And so I felt sorry for her, and that's why I married her. And she was a nurse with a specialty in psych. And I was always telling people the reason I married her is because I wanted psychotherapy, but it was too expensive. I would marry her instead and I would get it free.
There you
And
go.
as long as people like you laugh at that joke and instead of not laugh and say, yeah, it was good. That was a good idea.
Well, it worked out with all those years of free therapy, man.
Yeah.
You've got
Hell,
everything figured out. I need to send my better half to psych, back to school and get her a psych degree to help me out, man.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so that's the Air Force thing was a really weird fluke because I hadn't planned on doing that. I was going to get out and go into practice. And she said that I really want to move back to the Midwest. My parents have a family farm. I'm the sole heir for that. And I really love living in this small town in Indiana. And so I thought, oh man, what am I going to do? Because if you take the board in California, which I did and passed, it's like that's only good in California because what California said to other states is if you're a dentist in another state, you can't practice in California unless you pass our board. And it was to keep other dentists from other parts of the country out. And so the other
oh, yeah.
parts of the country said, well, dude, if you're going to do that, we're not going to accept your license. You're going to have to take our board. And I thought, oh man, I want to take a board in another state. I mean, they're really hard practicals and seeing patients and you're doing a full day test and stuff with academics. So somebody says, well, if you join the military, you get global reciprocity.
Oh,
So I thought, oh, I'll join the Air Force and my license will be good anywhere. And so I'll just say, I want to go to the Midwest. And so I said, great. So they said, Oklahoma, that's the West and Midwest. And it's like, and I said, no, Midwest, like Indiana, Ohio. And they said, oh, you mean like mid northeastern? And I said, yeah. And so they said, well, we'll send you to Minot, North Dakota. And so I thought, great. That sounds like the Midwest. I had no idea where Minot, North Dakota was.
North Dakota, man.
I
Pack
know.
your jacket, dude.
Well, the thing crazy about it, I go to the recruiter. I had just come back from a Hobie regatta. I was on the sailing team with UCLA. So I walk in with my shorts and flip flops into the office and said, yeah, I'm so excited. Mine out of North Carolina. He goes, yeah, it's like, let's call them up. It's like, it's really good. They still have snow and there's a chairlift that goes right from the clinic and you can take the chairlift and go up and go skiing. They still snow. And I said, snow. It's like, where is this? And so I
Look
call,
at a map.
yeah, I called my wife and she goes, what? She goes, did you say Minot? Minot? And I said, yeah, isn't that great? And she goes, dude, it's like, that's like people in Canada live further south than that. It's like, that's not where you want to go. So it's like, so I think that I'm going to plan all this stuff out. So I tell them, no, I can't do that. And they said, well, the only thing we have is San Antonio, Texas. And I thought,
Oh,
and they said, wait, no, we have Norton Air Force Base in San Bernardino. And so my goal was to get out of California. I end up back in San Bernardino
oh,
with
that's
wife
funny.
saying, okay, well, maybe next tour we'll be able to do that. So it's like, so that's
Wait,
how,
what was it? Was it March Air Force Base that you were at?
no, Norton Air Force Base
Oh, Norton. Okay. Yeah, we
was.
used to do our grocery shopping at March all the time and
Okay.
growing up. So, but we were, and where's Norton? Norton's out
In
further
San
out?
Bernardino. Yeah. It's close
Okay.
to the mountains. Yeah. Close to the
Okay.
mountains.
Gotcha.
Yeah. I did oral surgery residency at March Air Force Base, which was really cool. And then from there, I ended up at trying to get to the Midwest, got a little closer, ended up at Wilford Hall Medical Center in San Antonio, Texas. And then,
Wow. What a
yeah,
trip.
yeah. And anytime there was an opportunity, I took it. So I had a chance to do rotation anesthesiology. I had a chance to do some stuff with trauma medicine. And I'm thinking, man, I'm getting all this training. This is great. But I didn't realize from the Air Force standpoint, they said, look at this guy. He has got all the specialty training. We should put him on mobility and send him out on missions to be like forward medical support. And so all of a sudden I'd get calls at 2 a.m, show up at the flight line, take off on an airplane. They wouldn't tell you where you're going until you're airborne and you're surrounded by a bunch of guys with guns and explosives. And I'm thinking I didn't pack my Depends. And I'm like, white as a sheet. And so, this big dude sitting next to me, he goes, this is so cool, man. You're going to love it. It's like, this is so much adrenaline rush. I said, dude, I'm afraid I'm going to get killed. And he goes, no,
Oh
man,
my God.
you're our protector. we're going to keep you alive because
We need you.
you're the guy that brings us back alive.
Yeah.
And I'll
You
tell
are
you,
literally the most valuable person on
yeah,
that team to
that,
them,
yeah,
right? You know?
yeah, oh yeah. And the thing for me, I thought, these guys think they're invincible because they got Dr. Ash with them who looks like he's like a high school student, and it's like, I'm freaking out. So I said, I don't think I can do this. And so I, I thought, let me get out. And it was right before the Iraq war and Afghanistan blew up. And one of my colleagues who had the same training, he ended up going over there. And it's like, I thought, man, I totally dodged the bullet. And so I got out and actually got recruited by a company, Science Applications International, that were developing the first electronic medical record for the
Oh,
Air Force.
wow.
Yeah, and so I helped them develop with a team the physician interface because I had an engineering background and I was a clinician. And so there's a whole yeah,
Yeah, it's a perfect blend for that. And if you think back in time when everything was just in those files, and you go to the doctor's office, I mean, anyone younger who's watching this, I mean, there were just file cabinets, and then they would be like in an accordion, right? And they would expand them out until folks like you came along to build it out that way. And it's so inefficient. Wow, that's if you're going to do software, I mean, doing something like that where you're actually helping
exactly
people.
it.
Wow. It's just kinda like how you end up in dentistry because of your situation with your teeth, and then you end up doing this. And I know some might just look at it as a gig, but if you're doing a gig and you're helping people, that's a win-win.
Yes, and it was fabulous because of that and because of the company that did consulting. I ended up doing everything from pharmaceutical research to aerospace technology to software development to cybersecurity. And then I got recruited by IBM and was worked with them and worked all over the world. I mean, I worked in
Wow.
all over Asia and all over Europe, and it was really amazing.
So you've gone through the whole college route, you
Yeah,
had that experience, and then you go through the dentistry, now you go through the Air Force, man,
yeah.
I feel like such a slacker, and then now you're doing this and you're traveling the world, then what was next? How did you get into cycling, and what was the thing there?
I always loved cycling, and it's like when I was at SIC, I did some triathlons, but really cycling was my worst event. And because I did triathlons, they had a company picnic and they said, dude, it's like, we want you on our team because, you can do all this stuff. And I thought, I hate this kind of stuff. These kind of bullshit things are where people get injured. And it's like, but I was kind of new to the company and I thought, well, I got to help them out, be a team player here. And so I did that. And it was an obstacle course, and I was way ahead on the obstacle course. So one of the obstacles was to grab a rope and go over a water hazard. And it's like I grabbed the rope and it slacked and it dropped me down and twisted my knee. And so
Ooh,
I didn't know at the time, but I blew out my ACL and tore my medial
uh,
and ligaments. But I was so pumped to do this. I went to the next thing, which is a bar that's like 2.5 feet off the ground or something, and I thought, "I'm just gonna jump over that. Everybody's going underneath it. I'm just gonna just go over it," and I just
right after you blew out your knee?
yeah, I didn't even
Wait,
know.
I thought you were in Mensa.
Yeah,
Are you are you sure you're in
yeah,
Mensa?
yeah, that was, well, it's just like it's like my engineering people that said the same thing. When I dropped my job as engineering to go to dental school and get in debt and come out and I was making less than I made as an engineer, they said, "Let me think. You you were working here, you had a really great job, good pay, you decided to quit, you went to 4 years of dental school, got in debt, didn't make any money, and now you're making less than what you made when you were working here." It's like, didn't you go to weren't you in Mensa? Ah,
So you go to jump over this thing, I can
it
only
just
imagine how
oh,
that went.
didn't go. It was just like I just crashed out of it, and so the recovery was so painful psychologically for me because I was really an elite athlete, and all of a sudden I couldn't walk, and I'm on
Wow.
crutches, and it's like mentally it was really hard, and so I just really fought that whole thing, and it turned out that cycling was the rehab. They put me in rehab, and I could
Oh,
only go like half a pedal stroke on the bike. I couldn't even do a whole revolution. And I kept working and working. And pretty soon I could do one pedal stroke and then I could do another pedal stroke. And I kept working and it turned out to be cycling was really the thing that I loved. And I lucked out Lance Armstrong and I had the same coach. So
That's amazing.
yeah,
I mean, Lance Armstrong, if anyone doesn't know who Armstrong is, well, dude, what's wrong with you, man? Like, the I did s well, I was a swimmer, as you know,
yes,
but I was
was I, but never
also
your level.
yeah, well, I was also I would, ride on the side, just for fun, and I did a few races, and, but racing was that was a lot of fun, but my first race, I think you'll enjoy this, was I hadn't ever watched any I had only watched that movie, remember Breaking Bad?
Oh,
Not
yeah,
Breaking Bad, Breaking Away? Yeah. Yeah, with a on the bike and everything, and so I go to my first race right off the 91 in Green River there, I'm sure you know where that is,
yeah.
and,
Love the
didn't have
ring.
my phone turned off. That's a call a rookie mistake. Actually, I had it on because I was afraid that you might end up, calling beforehand. The go and I'm at the front of the pack, and I'm like it was only like a 28 mile it was a short race, it was like
Yeah,
30 miles or something like that. And I'm just in the lead, and this is my first race, and I'm
yeah, I'm
thinking,
there.
"Wow, I am a hot shot." And then I didn't realize I was the one breaking the wind for everyone. Everyone's just drafting behind me, and then sure enough, ultimately, I've run into the wall, and I'm tired, and everyone just blows by me. So it was another rookie mistake. But do you
But
remember your first race, and what was
oh,
that like?
yeah, same thing. I mean, one of the thing that happened to me was like the race with no entry fee. There's the Swami's ride down here, which is an epic ride. Lots of Pro 1-2s, lots of European pros show up on it. It's like the ride in SoCal. And I remember going on it, and I'm just so excited. And I thought, man, it's like I'm like in the front here. It's like the we come up to the first climb, and I thought I'm just gonna attack the climb. And I started going really hard, and these guys probably looking at me like, who is this bozo? We never seen him ride with us before. And they went past me so fast. I felt like a road cone. I mean, I looked down, I thought, did my tire flat? Did I have a flat tire? It's like
Oh,
it was a bunch. It sounded like when bikes go by, it's like the
yeah,
whistling sound of bikes. And then all of
yeah.
a sudden it was quiet. And I was by myself. The whole group had gone.
Oh,
And I'm like,
wow.
I didn't even know where the course went. And all of a sudden this girl rides up and I said, "Wow, are you on the Swami's ride?" She goes, "Oh yeah, but it's too fast for me. I just ride the back." And I said, "Well, I don't even know where it goes." Well, and she says, "Well, at least now you're not the last person. It's like let me follow me, and I'll take you around the course." But yes, like my pride.
How many miles was that one?
Oh, it wasn't long, maybe 27 miles or something.
Yeah,
Yeah,
gotcha.
but it was so crazy because here I thought I was like, "Man, I'm kicking ass here. Look, these people are all
Yeah.
behind me." And they were just sitting out there like, "No, we're still in the warm-up phase. What's this guy doing going so hard? We're just like chilling, talking." And like, "Okay, now about halfway up this hill, this is where we really hit it and go hard." And it's like, I couldn't believe how fast they went by on both sides of me. Like I was just like in the way.
Yeah. No, no, I know, trust me, I know that feeling because man, you wake up real fast and you realize it was kind of a life lesson for me and for anyone listening. When you're new at something, man, just like mellow yourself and don't
Oh
try to
yeah,
be a hot shot because you don't know what you think
yeah,
and the same thing with trading, like your first few years of trading, you don't know anything. You might think you know a lot, but
yeah,
you really don't know. So just absorb, and
yes,
then eventually you'll be on the other side of things. So what type of races did you end up because you had Lance Armstrong's
yeah.
the same coach and everything. Did you ever meet him? Were
No,
you
it's so funny. I mean, and it's the thing that's really crazy about it is I look just like him.
up?
And so
Yeah.
when I would go to races, kids would come up and say, Lance, can I get your autograph?" And I said, "Oh
Yeah.
yeah, just like I mean, I sure wish I was Lance. I'm not Lance, but I like traveling in the airport, people would come up to me. It's like, dude, I hate to bother you, man, but it's like, I know you get this all the time, but can I get an autograph? And I said,
Yeah,
well,
you're Mike Ash.
yeah,
And
who
they're
do you
like,
think? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Then when I'd say, who do you think I am?
Lance's original name
That's
before
right.
he changed it.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike Ash before I changed my name to Lance. It's just I needed a better name. But it was really funny because I think it was in Austin, they had a Lance lookalike contest, and I really regret not going because I got confused with him so many times. We looked the same, had the same haircut, same facial features. Uh, it's one of those missed opportunities. You're thinking, man, I should have just done that.
Yeah. So what was your like your race? Like how
Oh,
long was it that you would normally do? Would it be like 100-mile thing, a lot longer, shorter?
yeah, I've done 75-mile road races. I've done, like, time trials on Fiesta Island, like 20K time trials. I've won the California State Championship on the track, 3K pursuit. Yeah, I
Wow.
had a chance to race nationals. The race for me was criterions, which are short. It's like it's not by distance, it's by time. So like a 45-minute crit, what they do is you ride for 45 minutes and they figure out what time, how long it takes you to do a lap. And then they look at the clock and they think, okay, we got like 10 minutes to go. We'll put out 5 laps to go because it takes them, it's 2 minutes each lap. And so they'll just start doing lap cards. But that was the thing for me. I had huge power, but I wasn't somebody that was a good time trialist because you need long, steady state. But there was a guy on my team, call him Fagnini, Hilton Murphy. He was just like a tractor and he would do the lead out for me. And sometimes that guy was so strong, he would start the lead out like a mile or two out, and it's like there was one race that I thought, there was three of us, and it's like there was Hilton, Pete, and me. And the thing was, Hilton would do the lead out. When he pulled off, Pete would take the rest of the way, and then I would sprint the last part of it. And Hilton went so hard, we went clear off the front. And then he pulled off, and Petey pulled off because he says, I was sprinting to keep up with him. Well, I was too. I mean, I was so cooked. And it's like I didn't get the win because my legs were like totally loaded up. And it's like
Yeah.
they went by. So he says, I was a bad lead out, man. I just let out too far. It's like he was so strong, he didn't know that he'd just destroy his guys because he was
Yeah.
that's wrong.
That's a whole thing because it is a team
Shoulder.
in that sense. It's such a team and there's strategy involved. And I mean, and that's why I like long distance swimming is because the the sprinters, I say it all the time, like you could be as dumb as a rock and just be a sprinter. And it's about if you're 6'4" and your arms are like longer than my legs, that's who's gonna win. But distance, it's like everything becomes equal and it's a mental thing and it's that whole pacing thing. And I love that aspect. And I think what parents, if you're watching, put your kids in some sort of sport
Yes.
because you learn things and then that can translate into life and help you. And I think that's why, we're cut from the same cloth and have the same work ethic is because it goes back to not just your schoolwork and Air Force work and everything else, but I think really with the cycling because it's a mental thing because you don't have to be doing it, but
Yeah.
you want to do it. And I remember when I used to ride, I loved hills, but
Oh,
riding up the hills,
yeah.
not as much riding down because you would end up going so fast, and I did crash. Well, not like serious crashes, but riding up hills, man, that was my thing. I could not find a hill steep enough, you know,
Wow.
when I was that age, because that's
Yeah.
what I love to do. And I'm sure you were the same, but everyone had their different things. So now you're doing that. Now, was that amateur? Was it a pseudo professional, or was it
It's kind of semi-pro. It's like an invitational team that we got to ride on. So we had sponsors.
so you didn't have to buy your own bikes?
Well, you had to buy your bikes, but you got huge discounts on stuff, and you got huge
Okay.
discounts on all the stuff.
Bikes were so expensive, man.
Oh yeah. Well, I had a dozen of them, so it's like you pick the bike you want. So it's
Wow, a dozen bikes. I still have here because 'cause I'll never get rid of it. It's one of my prized possessions. When my father was overseas the last time, so he had to spend a year away from us, and so I was in 7th grade, And he saved up that whole time and bought me this bike that from Japan, and I
Wow,
still have it. I'll never get rid of it. It's like one of my that in this,
the
my
guitar.
table here is just, is just priceless because you realize how much I mean, back then, God, I mean, he would know, but I think it was like it was hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and
Oh, sure.
on a military salary, I mean,
Yeah,
that's like that might as well be a Lamborghini that he bought me, and so having 12 of those,
yeah.
that's that's
It's a little
fun.
overkill.
No, that's what I would have wanted, you know, I'd had more than 12 guitars, and I suck at guitar. But, okay, so you're doing that thing
Right.
with your racing, and at the same time, where are you working
Oh,
at that time?
that time, the when I did most of that was when I was at SAIC in San Diego, and that's
Okay.
when I had the opportunities to do everything. I even got to have a briefing with Bill Gates, and I was
Wow.
the team at Apple with Steve Jobs. That's a whole 'nother story
Wait, wait,
about.
wait, 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 back up.
Yeah,
Did you say you talked to Steve Jobs?
yeah. Oh, yeah. I was on it.
Okay, I've gotta hear about that. I don't care about Bill Gates, I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm not a
yeah,
fan of him. I'm a huge fan of was a huge fan of Steve. I
yeah.
mean, he if you read the autobiography, you walk away not so much a fan, but I could relate because he was so much like Bill in a lot of ways that I'm like, okay, well, it's just when you're that special, the interpersonal things become a little bit unique, let's just say. But so what was that like meeting him and how was he?
Intense and very intense, super detail oriented. Like I remember, like I can't remember what product launch it was, but there was a certain kind of flower he wanted on stage, and they had to get it from South America, and it was like, I don't, that's not the right color, and I want to look at the light. He was completely into detail. Like even the next systems where there were robots building the systems, and he said, I don't like the color of the robots. It's like I want those painted. So, I mean, he
Yeah.
just did really, I mean, really crazy things, but he was so intense. It's like, just like the stories I hear from you, from Bill O'Neill, it's like, don't come in with something he's not going to like because you're going to, it's like, I've seen him just like, I don't like that. I don't like you. You're done. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like, all of it, it's like you're standing there and like there's a victim casualty, it's like, oh my God. It's like, yeah, he
You
was,
wanna give them $1 and say, "Go buy some empathy."
no,
It's like, what you're doing is not cool, but when you're that person,
yeah.
you can kind of you're in this bubble and then the only yeah, it's very unique, and so I was whenever I talk to someone who's been around somebody like a Steve Jobs, I always wanna know what they were really like, so that's yeah, that's interesting. So
Very.
what were you doing there? Like, what
You know,
were you
that was
how were you helping them?
that was when he wanted I had done some development work with the Newton, which was kind of the first handheld thing. I
Yeah.
built a medical app for that. And, one of the first things where you could scan the patient, scan the drug, put data in a handheld that went to like a central database. He hated that because it was a stylus thing, and so he killed that and wanted to do another project. But one of the things that really stuck in my head, you said about being a visionary, because I remember talking to him and asking him about what I said. Yes, like why don't we do like a usability thing, test this and see what users think. He goes, I don't care what users think. Users don't know what they
Yep.
I define I define what they want, and then
Yep.
they'll get it. It's like he was like totally in phase. Like he's not going to ask anybody. He wouldn't ask Webby, wouldn't ask me, wouldn't ask anybody on the team. It's like, no, you guys don't know. Here's what it is.
Yep,
And yeah,
that's like and I know it's hard for people to relate to that because it comes across as like an ego thing, but that's how Bill was. And he was the same way, Mike, and he we were working on this one thing. It was when we were changing the I think I'm it's been so long, sometimes I always tell these stories as I remember them, and someone might be like, "Oh, no, it was this other thing," but we were changing the stock tables from what used to be alphabetical. What younger folks don't realize is you and I, we used to get our quotes from the freaking newspaper, like
Yeah,
actually the newspaper, those things
paper
that your
newspaper.
grandpa had, and you would open it up. He would actually go through those stock tables every day, just like I go through charts and you go through
Yeah.
charts, but he would go through the stock tables every day. So how it was arranged was so particular to him, and he was always tinkering. And I was tinkering with him behind the scenes, but I wasn't, because I wasn't an IBD employee, I was a William O'Neill employee. I kept that on the down low because I didn't want any power issues with folks, and because then you're stepping on their toes. But we would design that stuff, and there was this change, and I think it was when we decided to go, instead of alphabetical order, to do it by composite rating. And within, like, the A's would be lined up through the composite rating, then the B's would be that way. So you would have the cream would rise to the top. And it was so controversial. I know it sounds silly that that's controversial, but it was so controversial that we actually, some people talked him into doing the only time that we actually reached out to people and did, what do you call those, where you have a bunch of people in a room and you're standing behind the fake glass, like, one of those research things, and
Oh, like a usability kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah, like a
Yeah.
usability thing, and we went there, and he just did it to appease people because he was gonna do what he wanted to do because his name is on the door, but he's like, "Okay, I'll make these people happy." And we went there and they did the little research, the market research or whatever. And but he just wanted to do it his way. And I loved designing things with him. And he would talk about Steve Jobs all the time. And I remember this one printed book on the institutional side that we were designing together. And the corners of it were like straight lines, so a 90-degree, and he's like, Steve Jobs wouldn't do that. You notice everything is curved. And it made me think of that when you were talking about the plant and stuff from that he wanted very, very particular. And that's how he was. And I missed that because that attention to detail, like everything had to be perfect or there was hell to pay. And that's how we would approach things when we build them together. And lots of things we built together or I built for him, and we just never released it to the public for one reason or another. And but when we finally would, it would be after it was perfect and all. But so he was he was doing that stuff when you were working at the company of taking all the medical records and everything. Okay.
But what was the fascinating thing about Steve Jobs is not only did he have a vision, he had a way of consolidating what that vision is. Because at the time when everybody was making MP3 players and they were saying, hey, we have 60 to 1 ADD compression and we're having these analog specialty filters and everything. And he comes out and he shows the iPod and he says, 10,000 songs in your pocket. Mic drop. That's it.
Yep.
It's like, you don't need to know. You don't need to know what the AD compression is. You don't know what, you don't need to know where all these different sonic filters are. I mean, it was brilliant that everybody else was doing that. And he just made it like, oh, I get that. You know,
He
that
was
was
he
amazing.
was a genius in that. And I've told this story before, so I won't tell it again here, long form. But when I first saw that iPod, it was a gift to from my ex mother-in-law to my ex-wife, and neither of them liked music. They had gone on to, like, she was on Oprah's in the audience or Ellen or somebody,
Yeah.
and they gave away these iPods, and she didn't have a computer, had no desire for it, so she gave it to me,
Oh
sitting
my
there at
gosh.
the Olive Garden, opening up the box. And I hated Apple at that time. I thought
Yeah.
Apple was, my parents used Apples because they were educators, and that was
Right.
really the only niche audience that Apple had. Right now, people can't relate because Apple is everywhere, but then it was just teachers because they would give big discounts to them, teachers and students, and to people in, like, the entertainment because they were really good for video, that at least their desktops.
Right.
And so I get this thing, and I'm opening up at Olive Garden. I will never forget where it was, right on Sepulveda Boulevard in Manhattan Beach, and I'm opening
Yeah.
up, I'm like, "Oh my god, I wanna leave," and we hadn't eaten yet, and I wanted to leave then to go home to check the chart because I'm like, "This is a game changer," and Apple did end up changing a lot of people's lives, including mine, to the positive because and that's like that Peter Lynch thing, right, Mike? Is like
Yeah.
you pay attention to those products. Like we both trade stocks all the time, and you're trading charts, and you're like, oh, the fundamentals look like this. But when you can latch on to a product that you know is revolutionary, that will just change, you've got to treat it differently. And and Bill saw that in his things, and we tried buying him like an app, a shuffle once for his birthday. He just gave it away. Like he could have bought anything, but whereas like, what do you get a guy who could buy anything? We bought him
Yeah.
a shuffle, and he didn't use it. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
No, it was
those
great.
things just make
Yeah.
me think of those times. And so, okay, so you're working with him. I do want to know, how did you end up meeting Bill Gates?
Bill Gates was interesting because he wanted to get into medicine. And
Okay.
the thing was that I had, because of working in, the composite healthcare system and understanding the clinical side and the engineering side, I had a chance to be part of a briefing with him to talk him out of doing that because I thought it was a huge mistake. You know,
Wow.
the thing that was weird about Bill Gates is that I spent maybe a month and a half preparing slides and looking at and making everything together. And I remember talking and he had his hands together and he was looking up at the ceiling. He's just rocking back and forth. And I was thinking, man, I'm totally wasting my time. This guy's he's not even paying attention. He's like probably daydreaming or taking a nap or something. And so I stopped early and I said, well, I don't want to waste your time because it's like, clearly this is maybe something you're not interested in. And he goes, no, I was paying attention. He goes, there's five main points and here's what they are. And he like went through the whole thing. I mean, the guy was like
Oh,
just
so he was just in total concentration mode.
concentration, and I asked him about that. He says, "I can't look at things when I'm thinking. So I
Mm,
just have to, and I have to be moving." And so he's just like rocking back and forth. But I mean, the cue to me was like, this is like not going. But for him,
yeah.
it was like, this is how I process. So it was really wild. And then I'm just gonna hop back to the Steve Jobs thing about the detail. Like when you're at the Olive Garden and you're opening up the package, he was
Yes.
really big. It's like, how is this box gonna feel? And he wanted a certain suction when you
Yep.
open the box that it didn't just drop open. I
Yep.
want to make it, and I want to have things fold out. I don't want to have a user's manual. I want to be like, okay, it's here, it goes. He says, if you have a user's manual, it's too hard. And even, yeah,
That's so true. And if someone would have just handed me that iPod in just a plastic bag or something like
yeah,
that, I wouldn't have had that same impression. It was actually the unboxing of it. People do these YouTubes now on like unboxing of stuff, but I don't think they probably would have wanted to do that until Steve came along, because he, and I still love it every time. I've had iPhones since my, the very first one they called the Jesus phone.
yeah,
I waited in line for that, and I'd wait in line every time they would get a new one, until it turns out, I mean, Tim Cook, dude, like, well, I'm gonna get myself in trouble if I say what I feel, but I'm not gonna buy a new iPhone until this one breaks, because
yeah,
they don't. Steve is missed because they
yeah,
don't have that visionary that is needed. But it was the things like the boxing, opening up that box. Yet you still have that suction thing, and made in, designed in California, or
yes.
whatever, rather than it's truly made in China.
Oh,
But it's I sorry I keep on stepping on your toes, but man, it's just so. What was the rest of the stuff with Steve? I'm
it was
sorry.
just those were kind of the main points, but really,
Okay, so now we're going to move into the fun part of things
good.
that I always like to do with the Hangout series. So, enough with the I can put I'm putting my tissue box away, Mike.
Okay.
So, I like music just a little bit.
Oh yeah,
And
you're a fanatic.
but I have a very small circle of knowledge. It's very deep, but
Yeah.
it's very small. It's like I do the Warren Buffett thing when it comes to music. So, what is your favorite album of all time? But do not tell me your favorite
Nope.
song.
Nope.
So what is it?
Well, I have to go way back in time here. This is not my favorite album, but my first 45 RPM record, to tell you how old I was Steppenwolf Magic Carpet Ride. So
Oh, great song.
that's got a sweet spot for me because it's the first vinyl I ever bought. And so as far as music go, I'm completely aligned with you. never trust anybody that doesn't like Led Zeppelin.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's like
that
a true statement.
that's a true statement. You have to go from there. So favorites, Led Zeppelin 4 or physical for graffiti. It's a tough call. Physical graffiti, I think, because of the depth of styles of music that's in that. And of course, you would know what my favorite song in that
Okay,
album.
well, we're gonna go through this.
Okay.
This is what every guest has to do, and this is what you have to put up with. So I'm
Okay.
gonna pull up the album, Physical Graffiti.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the greatest albums of all time, double album. Okay,
Yeah.
so what we're going to do is we're going to isolate your favorite song, but we're going to do this in since there's a bunch of them here. I'm going to give you 3 at a time, and you're going to tell me of those
Yeah.
which one of those is your favorite, and then we're going to circle back and we're going to figure out your favorite. And we're going to figure out if you're right. Okay, because there is a right answer on this album. Okay, Custard Pie, uh, The Rover, In My Time of Dying.
In My Time of Dying. Oh
Yes, of course.
my
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah.
In
Put
My
that one
Time.
on. I
Oh
want,
god, that is so good, and it's long, but when it's over, you're like, "Oh, I wanna start that one over again."
exactly. Yeah.
Right?
It's never long enough.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, now we've got the funny thing with they put Houses of Holy on here. So Houses of the Holy, Trampled Underfoot, or some little song of her what is that? Cash something. Cashmere, maybe?
Kashmir is my favorite song of all time.
Well, you weren't supposed to do that. You don't follow instructions.
I know I don't, but that's so over the top for me. I can't help myself.
Okay, that's now, have you ever seen them live at all?
I had tickets to see them live, and Plant got sick, and they canceled, and they said
Oh,
we're going to go ahead and reschedule. And I thought, oh, I'm kind of busy. I'll see what I missed it, and I'm kicking myself. I can't believe it. It was like 5 days away before the concert. And
wow.
and and at this point, I would if they came back, if you need to talk to your friends to get them back together. I mean, if they played in Tokyo or they played like a week at the Sphere, I would buy tickets for all 5 days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and you would have to mortgage your house for it too, because
Oh yeah, yeah,
they would charge whatever. Let me tell you, Mike, and I'm embarrassed to say this, I'd been looking forward to Robert coming to town forever,
yeah,
and because I haven't seen them since, like, 94, 95 when uh, Plant and Page did a tour together,
yeah.
and that was just unbelievable, and then I saw Page later with, the Black Crowes at the Greek, which was epic,
That's
beyond
it.
epic,
Yeah.
and he was playing at my favorite venue here in town, the Moody Theater, which is where they do the Austin City Limits, and
Wow.
it's the best place, and I like to buy my tickets, like, the day of the event because you get a better deal that way. TickPick is, I think, better than StubHub, but anyways, I we got thrown some really challenging stuff this weekend that we were dealing with, and I completely forgotten that I'm like, "Shoot, it's Roberts this week, I gotta go and buy the tickets." It was Saturday. I cannot believe not believe I
Oh no.
I can't believe I missed it. It was last Saturday, and I've been looking forward to it, like, for 6
Yeah, for
months. I've
months.
been talking
Yeah.
about it, and, life throws you. "Well, I can't talk with you here. I'm not allowed to complain about anything." No, forget that, Mike. I'm going to be a normal person and still complain about life because I miss Robert Plant, and it's nobody's fault but mine. Okay, you see what I did there? Okay, now we're going to disc 2. So we've got Kashmir was
Yeah.
your favorite on the first
Yeah.
record of
Yeah.
this 2 record. So now don't tell me your favorite of this one, and we're gonna narrow it down just from these 9. So,
Okay.
In the Light, and I always butcher the Bronner R. Someone's gonna be like, "That's not how you say it," but that's how I say it, and
That's
it's
the
wrong.
closest I would ever get.
Yeah, and Down by the Seaside,
Down
a
by the
nice mellow one. Down by yeah, that's
Yeah, because it's
really
a completely
just
different flavor.
it kind of feel more like Plant's solo stuff?
Yeah.
Like, that's not yeah.
Yeah. That's where I feel like he was really getting out into that genre. So yeah, that's what I like about this album because the depth is incredible. I mean, it has so many different styles of music all in this 2 record set. I mean, it's just like it's hard to pick the best.
it's freaking perfect,
Oh, yeah.
and why they need to get back together. So
Absolutely. Work on
while they
that. Work on that,
while they
man. You're
still
supposed to
can.
make that happen.
You make that happen. You make other things happen. If you can make your body walk again and your arms move again, you can make like I'm talking to the person. You can make anything happen.
I forgot about that.
Yes. Okay. All right. So now 10 years gone, Night Flight in the Wanton song.
10 years gone.
Okay, 10 years gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, another great,
They're
great,
so
great,
unique.
great
Each
tune.
one of these is so unique.
Right? They're all different. It's
It's hard to believe it's the same band sometimes.
right, and even the same album, like,
Yeah.
because, like, 1 and well, they were all like that because 1 was all over the place, 2 was
Yeah.
all over the place, 3 was on the mellow side with the exception of, like, 1 or 2 songs, and 4 was like, man, that was just oh, that was perfection. Okay, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, I know you got stuff to do. Okay, so we got 10 years ago. Okay, then the last ones, Boogie with Stu, Black Country Woman, or Sick Again.
Black Country Woman.
Okay. So we've narrowed it down to Down by the Seaside, 10 Years Gone, or Black Country Woman. Which one?
Oh, God. They're so different.
And you can't say Kashmir again.
10 years gone.
10 Years Gone. You know what? I think you did it right. I can't disagree. But how it is with Zeppelin, it depends on your mood, right? Of
Absolutely.
what
We
you're in. You're either in for a mellow mood or
Yeah.
you're in for the long stuff. You're in for like communication breakdown type of
Yeah.
thing.
I mean,
Oh
at
my
6 o'clock tonight, it'll be a different group. It'll be a different
God.
thing we're looking at. And I figured this podcast may go for 16 hours so we could check again. So
Oh,
it's
we're only 2 hours and 9 minutes. You're doing fine. We're just getting started. So that was a lot of fun
oh,
with the
absolutely.
music stuff. I'm looking forward to having you back.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing you when you get to California, man. I've got some good vegetarian restaurants set up for you. So
Awesome. Yeah. I'll be in town in a lot over the next year because we try to get that. But it's just when we go there, it's kind of like short, like
oh, I know.
relatively
Yeah.
short because seeing the family and all, and then working because some of us like work for a living still.
Wow. What's that?
Yeah. Yeah. It's that work thing,
4:30
man.
in the morning every day looking at pre-market stuff, and I'm doing 6 hours worth of scanning on the weekend and stuff. It's like I feel like it's kind of a job.
Yeah, it is, but it's a fun job that when we have you back, we're
Yeah,
gonna talk about your journey and how you got
yeah,
into trading and trading our style and all of that
yeah.
stuff. And I just wanna say it was just an honor, a true
Same,
honor to
same.
hear your story, and thanks for sharing it here, and I think I'm gonna edit this around because as I was thinking of it, the important stuff we got into an hour in, and I think I'm gonna maybe take that and put it at the
Yeah,
front, and then we'll do
yeah.
the backstory at the end
Makes
because
sense.
I really want people to hear that part,
Yeah.
and, and it's just so powerful, and I'm super proud of you, Mike, and you
Well,
just keep it up.
I'm so hopeful that this helps other people because that's my whole thought about doing this to help other people. If this can pull somebody out from an emotional or a physical situation that they're in that they're struggling with, if this offers a glimmer of hope or encouragement or a piece to hang on to get that first step, the first rung of the ladder to grab, that would be beautiful. I mean, if we can help one person, we have accomplished everything here.
I totally agree. In helping them with the stuff you're helping them with, I mean, that's monumental. I mean, think about that. If you can help someone who is a quad or any way constricted to even just be able to move a little bit,
Yeah,
it like that is just worth us both being born, frankly.
absolutely.
And I'm just happy to be able to help out with that. And can't wait for your book and your TED Talk, dude.
Yeah, you're gonna you'll get one of the first autograph copies, that's for sure. I've got a list of about 75 people now that have said the same thing, so it's just you're on that for signed copies.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, it was great having Mike Ash here. And until next time, peace out.
Peace out. Thank you, man.